New Midnight class changes 3rd of February. What's up guys, Petko here. 35 minutes ago they announced a humongous amount of Midnight class changes, and right now we're gonna dive deep, analyze them, and talk about everything and anything. Let's begin. Alright, so the first thing we gotta understand is this is likely the biggest amount of changes we had in the past couple weeks. So keep that in mind, but not a final one. Let's begin. Death Knight. Frost, Death Knight, Deathbringer. So everybody played the Red Dead of the Apocalypse Frost. So I like to see that being not the case anymore, or at least have two viable builds. Deathbringer got buffed. Exterminate buffed. The Reaper's Mark as well. Deadly Blows as well buffed. Swift and Painful also buffed. So that's actually pretty healthy buffs for Deathbringer Frost. Red Dead of the Apocalypse on the other hand. Auto attack of damage of all horsemen nerfed by 50%, by the way. But Hunger and Thirst now increases damage of diseases, Frost Strike, Frostbane, Death Coil by 5%, and no effects Necrotic Coil. I would assume that is Red Dead of the Apocalypse for both Unholy and Frost Decay, I would assume. At least that's what it says here. Okay, yeah, so the nerf Rider Frost and Unholy Rider got buffed by actually quite a bit. Interesting, Sunlane was better on Unholy, but now after they buff Rider, maybe you play Rider. I feel like they both builds were actually 50-50, you know. Unholy Sunlane, Inevitable, increased damage of the disease by 30% was 20. That's a buff. Inflict of Sorrows now causes Vampiric Strike to extend the duration of plagues by 3 seconds was 2. That's a buff actually to Sunlane and Unholy. So they're buffing Sunlane, Unholy, and Unholy Rider. Okay. Blood Decay is getting some healthy buffs again, by the way. Death Strike buffed on Blood Decay, Blood Boil, Harder to Strike, Death and Decay, Consumption, Bone Shield, Armor increased as well. Wow. So Blood Decay is getting yet another buff. Okay. Obliterate on Frost Decay buffed by 15%, Frost Strike and Frostbane. Actually, no, sorry, that's a lie. Frost Strike got nerfed by 10%, and Frostbane also got nerfed by 10%. Only Obliterate got buffed. I think Frost Decay main issue right now is just 2 targets and single target. I think the burst AoE damage was really good with the no bread build. Unholy got all damage increased by 8%. Okay, so after several rounds of nerfs for Unholy, they finally caught a buff. Do keep in mind that the last nerf of Unholy apparently was applied twice. So, redemption at last, although I'm not sure if they reverted the nerf that was done twice. Interesting change here. Moving forward, Demon Hunter, Aldraki, Reaver. A Reaver damage increased by 10%, and the Reaver Mark now increases damage taken by 5% per stack with 6. I mean, I would assume that that's for both Havoc and Vengeance. Void Scar, on the other hand, Devourer, Void Scar. We're taking some powers out of Void Scar Metamorphosis window and shifting it to their non-meta effects. This should be the case, by the way, for both builds. Okay. For the most part, I like to play Annihilator. You know, for the most part, but you damage outside of meta as Voice Card now should be better on Devourer. On top of this, all of these changes that you read right now for Devourer, I'm pretty sure these were already implemented a few days ago with a hotfix on pre-patch. So these are not new, they were already in. Druid. Keeper of the Groove Druid got buffed only for balance. You did not play that for Mythic Plus, you played for 8. And Restoration, Potent Enchantment, increase Incarnation duration by 6 seconds was 3. Okay. This is a class buff here. Method for Absorption increased. It lasts 15 seconds. Regrowth Direct Healing reduced by 15%. And Wild Growth Healing increased by 25. Okay. Balance Druid buff chat. Starfall damage increased by 10. Status Search increased by 5. You need to buff Status Search more, by the way. Starfire now does more damage on a prior target. Ooh, okay. Balance getting more prior target damage. Okay, I'll take that one. Sunseeker, Mushroom, and Wild Mushroom damage increased by 10%. Power of Gold Dream damage increased by 5. This is a single target one, by the way. Denizen of the Dream damage reduced by 15. Interesting. We're rolling back some of the previous bonus to Denizen to move that damage into your own abilities instead. W. And Stellar Amplification causes your periodic effect damage on affected targets to be nerfed. Okay, from 20 to 16%. Okay, so this should be healthy buffs to balance rate. I don't think those are enough to make it insane in rate. For Mythic Plus, are likely going to be a minor buff, but a buff nonetheless. Guardian Druid. It seems like Guardian got another buff together with Blood Decay. Moonfire, Red Moon, Lunar Beam, Mango, and Armor granted by Iron Fury increased. Wow, okay. Interesting. So they're nerfing the self-sustain a little bit from frenzied regen. Interesting. And it's gonna heal less. Okay. But you're gonna have your cooldown reduced from 36 seconds to 26. What do you think about that one? Like more frequent frenzied regen, but weaker. Okay. Ursoc Fury got nerfed. I guess they're shifting the durability from Ursoc Fury towards more baseline. What? Because you get more armor from Iron Fur. Interesting. Moonless Knight damage increased and Killing Blow damage, buffed as well. Okay. I'm not sure if that's overall buffs or nerfs to Guardian. I think there's some... But I think those changes should be a net buff, right? It has to be. At least more damage for sure. A Restoration Druid. The goal of these changes is to make a reduced Restoration Druid power in dungeons. Wow, okay. While keeping them at similar level in raids. This is primarily accomplished through reducing the effectiveness of their Mastery and Regrowth. Okay, so Mastery got nerfed by 20% of the Restoration Druid. Intensity increases Regrowth critical strike healing by 60 with 75. Wow, okay. Unstoppable Growth reduces Wild Growth fall by 30% per point with 15. Improved Wild Growth increases the number of Wild Growth targets by 2 with 1. Embracer and Dream Healing increased by 85. Master Shapeshifter generates 20% more mana from Wrath, Starfire, and Star Surge. Okay, so less healing from Mastery, less healing from Regrowth. Instead, they shifted more healing towards Wild Growth, which is whatever, honestly. Ha! Question is the Restoration Druid going to be still the best healer after those changes? I don't think those were a massive nerfs though. I don't think they are nerfs, but not a massive ones. I think the Restoration Druid is still amazing and it's still going to be solid. But let's see if they're going to nerf the right healers above them. Evoker, Flame Shaper Evoker, which is by the way the go-to build for Devastation. Consume Flame nerfed again. It now consumes only 4 seconds of Fire Breath from Pyre, it was 8 before, and 1 second of Fire Breath from Disintegrate, was 1.5. Wow. That is actually pretty bad, bro. Consume Flame damage is now dealt at 115% effectiveness, was 125. Wow. So they cooked Evokers. Not only did they nerf it last time by quite a bit, but this time around they also received a rather significant nerf as Devastation Evoker. Wow. Well, nothing for augmentation, by the way. So Death Evoker got another hit. Devastation Evoker on top of this just got a Disintegrate buff by 10%. I mean, that buff might offset some of the single target nerfs, maybe. For the most part, that should still be a ST nerf, I believe, for Devastation Evoker as Flame Shaper. But that is a buff to Scale Commander. Scale Commander was still million years behind Flame Shaper and Mythic Plus. We gotta test out, I guess, Scale Commander, boys. That's all for Evoker. Hunter. Beast Mastery continuing to overperform across all contents, so we are bringing down their baseline power and apex talent damage and making smaller adjustments in individual hero talent trees. MM is getting a small bump in AoE paired with a few buffs to underperforming spells like Killshot and Volley. For survival, we are buffing up Wildfire Bomb single target damage bonus to ensure it isn't being forgotten about in pack leader single target rotation. Right? It's exactly what I said, by the way. Alright, let's see what they done to Hunter. A Direct Ranger BM Hunter, Shadow Trash now deals shadow damage, but his damage has been reduced to 30%, okay? Blighted Quiver now increases Beast Cleave and Q Cleave effectiveness by 5% was 10%. Interesting. Like, Direct Ranger wasn't the best build anymore, and now it got a nerf here. I mean, the first line, it reads like a buff, at least to me. I gotta test it out, but it might not be. Hunter Pack of the Hollow now increases the Blight Arrow damage by 25. Direct Ranger is absolutely dead. Until they make precise shots get consumed by Black Arrow, it is absolutely dead to me. Better play Santinel. Pack Leader BM Hunter, board damage increased by 200%. Pack Mentality now grants 4 seconds of cooldown reduction to Barb Shot with 6 and increases Q command damage by 25 was 50. Okay, I guess they took away some power from Pack Mentality into border area. Okay. Survival Hunter, No Mercy bleed bonus increased to 35. That is Pack Leader Survival, by the way. And border area damage also increased by 200. Okay. Sentinel Survival. Sentinel Mark has been updated. Wildfire Bomb damage bonus reduced to 40% was 80%. Wow. The fuck? Can't miss, won't miss has been updated. Tip of the Spear damage bonus reduced to 4% was 10. Wow. Another nerf. Moon's Blessing now grants 4 seconds. Wildfire Bomb CDR was 6 before. Oh, that is actually a heavy nerf to Sentinel Survival Hunter. So what, you could play now Pack Leader all the time? What? BM Hunter, all damage dealt by that hunter and their pets are reduced by 12%. That is a 12% aura nerf on Beast Mastery Hunter. Nature ally now increased damage of Cobra Shot and Barb Shot by 15 was 30. On top of it is the nerf to Epic Talents. Wow. That is rather a substantial nerf to BM Hunter. Volley on MM Hunter got buffed. Absolutely useless talent. Nobody played it. Trick Shot effectiveness got buffed to 75%. What is that? That's like 10% buff? No, more than 10%. Like 15% buff? Is it? Quick maths. Could be 50, could be more, I'm not sure. Wow, okay, that's actually a huge buff to MM Hunter. Nobody plays Hydra. Q shot damage increased by 25. Does not affect Black Arrow. Doesn't matter then, it's dead anyway. Doesn't matter, you don't play Q shot. Headshot increased damage per stack by 3%. Doesn't matter as well. Wildfire bombs primary target damage bonus increased to 60%. That's gonna be giving you more proud target damage. 2 against melee damage bonus reduces 10 was 15. Okay, so I'm pretty sure Survivor is now gonna play Pack Leader. I'm pretty confident about that one. Because they just nerfed heavily Sentinel. Interesting. Mage. Frostfire Fire Mage. Heatsink increases Fire Blast damage by 15% was 30. Why the fuck are they nerfing it? Why are they nerfing Fire Mage? Okay, they buffed the dual casting adept to increase his pyro damage. Okay, so pyro blast damages should get buffed even more. Frostfire. Frostfire bolt damage reduced by 20. Duality pyro blast damage increased by 100. Isothermic core meteor shatters 1 freezing stack was 2. That's actually a big nerf. And molten ignite effectiveness increased to 30 was 15. Okay, that's actually a big nerf here for isothermic core. Arcane Slinger. Arcane Splinter damage got buffed by 80%. Signature spell Arcane Pulse, okay, with 25. So this is a buff to Arcane Slinger, it seems like. Okay. They're also buffing Frost Spell Slinger as well. Sun Fury, Arcane Phoenix area, and the spell damage got increased by 50%, by the way. But they also nerfed quite a few spells here on Arcane Sun Fury. I feel like they want to match Arcane Sun Fury with Arcane Slinger for the most part. And they're buffing also Sun Fury Fire Mage, which most of the... Like, I think Sun Fury Fire Mage, I believe, actually wasn't even getting a buff. This is getting a nerf. Never mind. They only buffed the first line. Burden of Power got nerfed. Hypothermia changed as well. Ashes of Inspiration Haste reduced to 15%. Okay, what the fuck? Fire should get buffed, not nerfed, if anything. Okay. Arcane, we're looking to reduce Sun Fury Arcane single target damage through the hero talent tree as well as Arcane baseline power. Slinger will be getting some buffs to compensate for that baseline damage reduction. Arcane AoE damage is further behind and we will be making some targeted adjustments to increase the output in dungeon content. Okay, so less single target, more AoE, is that it? Arcane Pulse got buffed, Arcane Surge got buffed, Arcane Orb got buffed, but Arcane Explosion, Arcane Blast, Arcane Missiles, and Barrage got nerfed by 20%. I mean, Arcane Cleave effectiveness increased to 60%. What do you guys think about that? Would you accept this deal as an Arcane Mage? You've got less single target, less prio, but a lot more AoE damage. I mean, it's not a bad trade-off because it could be all nerfs, you know? Oh, that's actually pretty good. Pretty good buff here. Rune primary target damage bonus reduced to 75 was 100. Okay. Interesting. Fire Mage, we're taking some damage out of the Fire Blast and Fireball and moving into Fire Blast to ensure your hot streak are hitting as hard as they should. Mastery Ignite effectiveness increased by 15%. Pyro damage buffed by 15%. Fire Blast damage reduced by 40. Scouted now increases Fireball damage by 25 was 50. Okay. So that means a lot more Pyro Blast, hopefully. That's great. I would look into reduce Frost area damage while increasing their single target. Very good trade-off. Frost needed more single target. Shatter primary target damage increased by 40%. All damage dealt increased by 5%. But flurry damage got reduced by 20%. Glacial also chance to trigger reduced to 12%. Comet Storm shatters 1 freezing per stack per missile. And Frozen Orb damage also got reduced. And also the nerfing Splitting Ice. I mean, that's again a good trade-off for mages, by the way. That is better single target for Frost Mage and no, let's say that is a big W, by the way, Frost Mage, if you ask me. If you ask me, Mythic Plus. Anyway, Monk, let's see what's up with Monk. A few more changes left, guys. Brewmaster Monk. Master of Harmony. I'm not sure, did Brewmasters play Master of Harmony? They've been getting some changes here for Master of Harmony. This line sounds like a buff to me. It looks like a buff to me. Yeah, it seems like it's just getting a Master of Harmony buff for Brewmaster. On top of this, Brewmaster is getting Kick Smash, damage increased by 40, Tiger Palm buff, Blackout Kick buff, and Speeding Crane Kick buff. What the hell? Brew was already one of the best tanks. It was actually pretty tanky and did really good damage. So now they're buffing the damage even more to Brew. Okay. Okay. Brew meta? Question mark? Mistweaver Jadefire Teaching got absolutely massively buffed. And Way of Crane also got buffed. Okay, that's also not a W for Mistweaver. Nothing for Windwalker, by the way. Paladin, Retribution, Hero to the Sun, Dawn Light damage got buffed. Dawn Light radiates, however, 5% of its damage instead of 8. And some bug fixes here. On Templar, you've got Hammer of Light damage increased by 100%. Imperial Hammer damage increased by 50. Hammer of Light primary target damage increased to 30. Okay. I mean, this is actually healthy buffs for both Templar and Herald for Retribution Paladin. They needed those changes though. We gotta be testing Retribution Paladin now. Love those changes. Holy Paladin, on the other hand, these changes were posted last week, but we're including them again for positivity. Okay, so all of this was done already last week, chat, so no need to go there. And last but not least, Protection Paladin. Apex Talons got buffed to give more damage. That's fine. And armor granted by Shield of Righteousness is reduced by 15%. So even less armor, more damage. So Prot Palios were already squishy. They're going to be more squishy because they're going to get less armor, but slightly more damage, which they already did amazing. So, okay, kind of a questionable here. Priest. Archon Shadow Priest damage got boosted by 50%. That's everything so far for Priest. As Archon. Oracle Disc Priest has been nerfed again. Okay, another nerf for Disc Priest. Void Weaver Discipline Priest has been buffed in Trophic Rift and Collapsing Void got buffed heavily. And Shadow Void Weaver, what are they getting? Quickness Pulse now causes Shadow Ward Pain and Trophic Rift to deal 15% more often. It was 25. Oh, slight nerf for Shadow Priest here as a Void Weaver. Discipline Police, on the other hand, they've got Shadow Man healing increased, Shadow Ward dead damage increased, and Shadow Ward deals 250 damage in execute range for Disc. So slightly more damage here for Disc Priest, plus more healing from Shadow Man if you need to cast it. But overall, Oracle got nerfed, which is, I think, the bigger nerf here. Holy, healing damage, healing done increased by 8%. For Holy Priest and Shadow Priest is all damage reduced by 15%. Yo! Mind Blast damage increased by... Okay, never mind. So they are nerfing you, but they're giving you more baseline damage. Vampiric Touch increased by 100%. Shadow Ward Pain by 25. Mind Blast by 40. This also applies to Void Blast. Amazing here. Psychic Link now transfers 60% of the damage dealt to targets affected by Vampiric Touch. By the way. Shadow Ward Horrors now cause Shadow Operation to deal 50% increased damage to targets affected by Shadow Ward Madness 100. Okay, so nerfing damage to operations, but giving a lot more baseline damage. Wow. Okay, I need to speak to public. I have no idea. I mean, this should be a buff to Shadow Priest, by the way. But the builds might change from the pet builds, from operation build, something else. Actually, very, very happy about Shadow Priest. When I read the first time, I was like, oh no, bro. We gotta be testing it tomorrow. Right now, it's already midnight for me. I gotta go sleep soon. Deathstalker Sub-Rogue has got a small buff here. It seems like, yeah, they're getting a buff. Sub-ability Deathstalker. Fate Bound, it seems like also got some changes, mostly nerfs. Assassination Rogue damage done increased by 3%. Melee damage increased by 10%. Physical damage dealt by Implacable Strikes increased by 50%. Doomblade damage increased by 25%. Of Mutilate damage was 20%. This to me sounds like more single target. Yeah, this to me sounds like more single target for Asaro. That's what it sounds to me. And slightly more AoE damage on Asaro. Okay? And for Outlaw, what the fuck did it do? Outlaw performance on the beta had been hampered by a significant bug. Now that is being fixed, this damage bonus was not needed to keep them competitive, but also adjusting Blade Flurry to keep AoE damage as intended in light of these changes. Okay. I mean... And melee damage reduced by 10%. Okay. Okay. Blade Flurry causes your ability to strike nearby enemies for 30% of the damage done instead of 25%. Okay. So, is Outlaw going to be better or worse following this change? That is the question. I need to go and dive into the spell data to find out. I am not sure. I don't even know if that's actually a buff or a nerf. Or maybe a net neutral. I have no idea, but we gotta check out in a bit. Silverrock got Aura nerf by 8%, that's all. Shaman, Elemental Shaman, Aura nerf by 5%. Oh no. And Lightning Bolt also got nerfed by 10%. Oh no. We are getting cooked, boys. Nothing for Enhanced, nothing for Resto. Okay. So every other healer. So Discipline Priest got nerfed. Restoration Druid got nerfed. Holy Powering got buffed. Nothing for Restoration Shaman. Holy Priest got buffed. Mistweaver got buffed. Nothing for Press Evoker. Okay. Interesting. I see where we're going. Warlock. Diabolist and Inferno both damage increased by 150. Reunition damage increased by 50%. Okay. The only spec that played Diabolist was Destrolock. So Destro can definitely benefit from especially Reunition damage here. Soul Harvester shared Vessel increases mastery by 2% was 4. Manifested Demonic Soul Swipe damage reduced by 30%. And Soul Anathema damage reduced by 40. Alright, boys. Soul Harvester nerf for both Affliction and Demonology. I'm wondering if they're actually gonna change the Demonology bugs. Or like hotfix them. Demonic Soul damage also reduced by 3% here for Demo. Affliction, Apex Talon Shadow of Netraza now summons a Desperate Soul 100% more often. So that means Hound on cooldown. But Desperate Soul Brat of Netraza damage got reduced by 50%. That's fine. Dark Heart damage reduced by 30%. That's fine. That's fine. Affliction got some nerfs both from the hero talent and also baseline. Destro, Incinerate more damage 50%. Conflagorate more damage by 40%. Chaos Bow 10% more damage. Summon Overfiend damage increased by 50 and so far damage increased by 40. Okay. So those are good buffs of Destro. That should definitely strengthen your single target. They should have added more Chaos Bow damage. That's not enough. 10% not enough. Another question. The capstone talents on Destrolock are absolute doo-doo. Doo-doo. Caca. Shite. Scheiße. Shit. Whatever you want to call it. Okay? It's bad. They gotta get buffed. In my opinion. Warrior, last thing last. Colossus Arms, absolute fucking dog shit. They actually buffed practical strikes, but changed also RTO Bleed. Protection Colossus got buffed as well a little bit. Mountain 10 Fury, Thunder Blast damage reduced by 30%. Oh, you got clapped, boys. I mean, Thunder Blast was like majority of your AoE damage. At times you were ignoring casting Rampage just to spam Bloodthirst to get more TB procs. So that is a humongous nerf in mass AoE for Fury Warrior. But Lightning Strike damage got buffed by 100%. Compensation perhaps? Prot Warrior Attain, ground current damage increased by 150, Lightning Strike buffed, but Thunder Blast also nerfed. Slayer Arms, which was the go-to build by the way, it seems like it's getting a buff. What? Bonus damage increased by 20%. Slayer Malice bonus damage reduced to 15% was 20. Reap the Storm chance to trigger reduced to 20% was 15. And Slayer Fury, nobody gives a shit. I'm not even gonna read it. Deep Wounds damage reduced by 30% for all, for both Arms, Fury, and Protection if you have it. Okay. Arms Warrior Dreadnought damage reduced by 50%, but the Cleave damage got buffed by 20, the Blade Storm buffed by 30, Mortal Strike reduced by 20, Execute by 20. I am not sure if all of those combined together is actually a buff or a nerf to Iron's Warrior. To me, it looks like a redistribution of power. Fury has definitely been nerfed because of the Thunder Blast here. Also, auto attack damage got nerfed by 30%. Raging Blow got nerfed by 20%. They buffed Blade Storm and Fury, but nobody plays that talent anyway. And Bloodthirst got buffed by 10%, but that's insignificant based on the amount of nerfs they've done with the rest of the specs. Or maybe it is significant buff. I mean, 10% not bad. Raging Blow doesn't account for a large amount of your damage, neither is the auto attacks, to be honest with you. But the Mountain 10 definitely is. Protection Warrior last class Shoot Slam damage reduced by 20%, execute damage reduced. Ignore Pain damage prevented per use increased by 5%. And Fueled by Violence got buffed as well, by the way. Okay. So a lot more self-sustain now. Also, Indomitable increased max health by 10% and heals you 1% for each 15 rage spent, was 20 rage. Okay. Hey, more tanky Prot Warrior, just slightly less damage, I guess. I'll take that, boys. Anyway, that is all class changes. This time around, there were a lot of them. I'm going to be starting the stream tomorrow, I guess in like 11 hours from now. And we're going to be testing absolutely everything to see how things are. I'll also speak to a lot of theory crafters before I go to bed just to see how the changes are. But expect a lot of testing tomorrow morning. Anyway, thank you for watching, guys. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night. And as always, peace, much love, and bye. Follow for more and subscribe to motherfuckers. Bye for now.